Police in Hong Kong have arrested the first person using a sweeping new security law that could see protesters jailed for life on charges of subversion. Large crowds of people ignored warnings that the protest was illegal and officers could use force to disperse them. The demonstration comes on the 23rd anniversary of Hong Kong's return to Chinese rule. It's also the first full day of the new national security law coming into effect. Critics say the legislation undermines the territory's autonomy and curtails freedoms. The international community has condemned China's actions and warned of sanctions.
In line with assurances that China gave in the past, the existing rights and freedoms of Hong Kong residents must be fully protected. We have indeed consistently said that China would risk very negative consequences if it went ahead with this law, including for business confidence, China's reputation, public perception in Hong Kong and internationally.
Hong Kong's chief executive said the international outrage is hypocritical.
For those foreign governments or politicians raising objections to the legislation, one could only lament the double standards they are adopting. All those countries which have pointed their fingers at China have their own national security legislation in place.
Well, for more on what the new law will mean for Hong Kong and for Beijing, I'm joined now by Victor Zhao. He's an expert in international relations and the professor at China's Soochow University. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Today marks the 23rd anniversary of the handover from Hong Kong from British rule. Isn't Beijing, actually, with this new security law, in violation to the terms it agreed to in 1997?
Absolutely not. Just think about the facts. Before 1997, do any one of us really believe that the British Hong Kong government at that time would tolerate anyone, any political force to use Hong Kong under British rule as a platform to challenge the national security interest of the United Kingdom or the monarchy? No, no way. What China is doing today is exactly what British rules in Hong Kong before 1997 did, is exactly what any other country in the world would ask as a minimum. And the basic law, which came into effect in Hong Kong since July the 1st, 1997, contained a provision for Hong Kong to enact a national security law, and we know the reasons why it did not succeed. Therefore, the central government in China absolutely has full right and discretion to make this law for Hong Kong, and this law will make the one country, two system even stronger, rather than damaging the one country, two system. That's the major point.
That point isn't ringing true with critics. You know, some of the international community have condemned China's actions. They're warning of sanctions. Critics call this new law in particular the end of Hong Kong. What would you say to them?
Absolutely wrong, because this law is only targeting 4 categories of crimes, including terrorism, secession, sedition, and collusion with foreign countries in sabotage of China's sovereignty right over Hong Kong. Now, if anyone wants to support these 4 offenses, stand out and say clear and loud, and we will see who he or she is. If they are talking about human rights and democracy of Hong Kong, absolutely we want to protect human rights and democracy and rule of law in Hong Kong. But do any one of us really believe that human rights or democracy will give anyone the right to do sedition or secession or terrorism or collusion with foreign powers to intervene in the internal affair of Hong Kong or domestic affair of China? No, this is not part of freedom is. So we need to be very clear about the basics.
If we talk about the power of freedom, why is it that officials, we've heard from officials this morning, that one protester has already been arrested today?
Well, Hong Kong people have legally protected right to demonstrate and to protest, and such rights need to be fully protected. But if anyone in Hong Kong launches illegal and unlawful protest and demonstration, they need to be dealt with by law, either by the existing laws of Hong Kong, or if they offend the 4 categories of crimes listed in the national security law in Hong Kong, they need to be dealt by the national security law of Hong Kong, effective as today. This is very clear. There should be no ambiguity in that. And I think anyone who wants to engage in unlawful, illegal protests in Hong Kong need to keep that in mind. The law is the law. Wake up. There is a law of national security law in Hong Kong, and abide by that law.
Victor Gao, thank you for your time. Expert in international relations and professor at China's Soochow University.